We're now live.
Perfect. Wait for it to come. There we go. Perfect. So I'll pop this up here. Alrighty, and there's a little bit of difference too in the time. So good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're coming in from. If you're catching the replay, hello. My name is Jamima Donaldson, and I'm here with the beautiful Cathryn today, and we're going to have a bit of a chat about what she does. Bear with me though, I am just coming off being sick, so I'm a little bit frazzled still, but I'm going to hand it over to Cathryn just to introduce herself and give you guys a bit of a story, because she's got a phenomenal one there. So Cathryn, if you can jump on out and
Sure. Yeah, so I'm a book coach and publisher. I'm in Brisbane, and I've been doing this for a few years, but there was quite a bit of history with how I got here, and I'll have to give you the short version, or we'll take the whole hour. So I was actually in marketing and media for 15 years. And then I spent about another 8 years traveling and living around the world. And I did various things, including working on cruise ships. And people, because of all the crazy things I did with living in New York and Paris and London and all of that, people would always say to me, you should write a book. And I would always think, well, no one really knows who I am. No one cares about my life. So really, like, who's going to read my book? And eventually, but I did enjoy writing. I enjoyed reading. I'd been a writer and a reader from a very, very young age. And eventually I thought, well, if I write a novel, then I can kind of put in some bits that are real and make up some bits. And then I could probably write 20 novels based on all these different things that I had done. So that was kind of the plan. And I wrote a book called Sex, Lies and Cruising, which was a novel for sort of 18 to 35-year-old women. And essentially, I started it when my son was 6 weeks old. So I said to myself, well, basically, since I'm, on holiday, I'm going to have all this spare time. I should just write my book now. I had really no idea about babies or books, clearly. So I tried, writing when he was asleep instead of sleeping. And then I got tired and exhausted, and then nothing happened. So the book took about 2 years to finish, because I didn't have any momentum. And I think I was about 8 chapters in when my husband said to me, like, what happened to your book? And people kept saying, weren't you writing a book? Have you finished it by now? And I thought, oh my God, this stupid book. I wish I'd never told anyone I was writing it, because I feel like such an idiot now, like with this non-existent book. So eventually, though, when he said, like, you don't want to wake up at 70 and say, damn, I wish I'd written that book. And I thought, you know what? He's right, because I don't regret what I have done, but I do tend to regret what I didn't try. So basically, I hired a mentor, and I smashed out the last 13 chapters in 10 weeks. And I finished on the 30th of December that year. And then I went through the whole process of editing and approaching agents and this whole big drama, which went on for a long time. That's a whole episode in itself. But in the end, I self-published. I did get offered a publishing deal, and I stupidly turned it down from one of the big 5 publishers. I think it's because I was already so set and organized with all my self-publishing and promo that I just wasn't able to get off that track mentally, But I had a lot of publicity. I was in 23 outlets in 20 days. I was gone down to Sydney and on, television, on, the morning show, and all of these different things. And my book sold thousands of copies, which, is very good, particularly in Australia. But it didn't make me the money that I wanted. So eventually I left my marketing and media role, and I had that experience with the book. And I just sort of parked it for a little while. I went and studied coaching. I spent a year trying to get a coaching business off the ground, and it didn't really work. And even though I was a great coach, you have to niche, and I just wasn't picking the right thing, and just all this drama. I hired a business coach, and she looked at my history and how much I loved reading. I did real well with my book, all the media and all of that, and said, well, why don't you help people market their books? And I said, well, I sort of don't want to do marketing anymore, because I was good at it and I guess I enjoyed it, but I was a bit sick of it and I'd wanted to leave. So I said, I don't want to do that, but I feel like you're onto something. What I'd like to do is help people write their books, because when I thought back to the thing I was most proud of, it was actually finishing my book. all the media and all of the like copies I sold and, you know, the fan letters that I get from people still to this day occasionally, and it was, you know, 5-6 years ago, the best thing was actually finishing the first draft. You know, I had a baby, I went back to work full time. I was exhausted, as anyone who has children is, from day one. And I was so proud of myself for finishing that book that sometimes even when I think about it now, I still feel emotional. Like every time I even talk about it to people, I think, wow, I'm really bloody proud of that. And I wanted to help people get that feeling, because I knew that a lot of people want to write a book and they either don't start, or if they start, they don't finish. And I'd finished and I thought, that's what I want to do. So that's basically how my business was born. And it's grown a lot since then, and I've learned even more since then. But that was like, yeah, where it all started.
Wow, that's amazing. And it's amazing that you literally wrote a book and then it just sort of took off in Australia. Like you said, that's, you know, not usual. And it's a really good thing to have happened. So that's awesome. But so obviously you've decided, right, that's it. I want to give people this feeling. That's what I want to give them, that, you know. So how did you go about, I guess, making sure that you could do that? Because obviously when we're looking at coming off the back of 2020, a lot of people were out of jobs, they weren't doing anything, and a lot of people have tried to start online and do things. So I guess for someone who might be watching, you know, what was your key things that you did to start up your business and, you know, get going?
Yeah, well, this is my 4th year now. So the very first thing I did, which I would recommend to anyone, was getting a business coach. It made such a difference to me. And looking back, I doubt that I'd be where I am now without her at the beginning, because she helped me pick my niche for a start. She helped me create an offer and then test the market. So there was about half a dozen other people all being coached by her at the same time. And we ended up being in a little group together. We started off one-on-one and went into a group. And she helped all of us create our offers and then said to us, okay, you all need to test your offers, and taught us how to test the market so that we weren't spending a lot of time and money on something that people didn't want. And when I got chatting to people, literally just for research, not trying to sell, I accidentally sold 4 spots, 4 coaching packages from the first 5 people I spoke to. So that was a bit of validation that my offer was actually pretty desirable. Whereas her other clients were having to sort of change and tweak a little bit. So definitely getting a coach. She taught me all of that foundational stuff. We parted ways at the point where I wanted to kind of automate my leads after about 9 months, because I wanted to I was able to close really well, but I'd never felt like I had enough leads. And I think that's a bit of a perpetual thing that people face. So I think the beginning was just being really, really clear on exactly who I serve and who I don't serve. And look, that's also changed over the last 3 years, because you do learn, but I think you have to start somewhere. Exactly what I did and what I didn't do. And the good thing about being really, really niched, people get very afraid of doing that because they are afraid they will cut off all this opportunity. But it's kind of the opposite, because when you're well known for something very narrow, like everybody knows that I help people write books.
Yep.
And so I get referrals constantly. If someone posts in a Facebook group, hey, I want to write a book, does anyone have any advice? A couple of weeks ago, there was a post where I think 12 people tagged me out of about 20 responses. So like everybody knows that I help with books. And so if you have a thing, whatever it is that you help with, as a coach, like I'm a trained and qualified coach, I can theoretically work with anyone about anything. But for me, and what we got taught by our coach, was niching is really important, because even though you could theoretically do that, if you're known for one thing, everyone knows who to refer to, and you can charge more. So that's, I think, really, really important. And then when it came to COVID, I'd already been in business 2 years at that point. I'd had some up and down times in those 2 years for sure. The beginning of 2019 was amazing. I think out of the first 14 calls I had in 2019, 12 of them became clients. So I was thinking, like, this is amazing. I can't wait for 2020. It's going to be so good. And I was waiting for this big rush of people that I normally have at the beginning of the year, because everyone has this New Year's resolution, and the rush never came. And I think by April, I had 12 clients that by April the year before, maybe even 14 by the time April, no, 12 or 14. By April 2020, I had one. And I thought, wow, something's really going on this year. I'd already thought it was quiet actually before COVID even hit, to be honest. And I had no idea why. I probably took my foot off the accelerator with marketing a bit because I'd been so busy. But, you know, you kind of sort of stop marketing and then all of a sudden it's quiet and you've forgotten that you haven't been doing any marketing. But with COVID, I thought I have to do something different. I'm not going to go back and get a job. There weren't even any jobs anyway. So I actually thought I need to think about where the gaps are that I could be filling. And people were often coming to me to write a book, but they didn't have the thousands of dollars for the one-on-one support that I give them. So I created a course and I sold it before I made it. I just did a beta round. I had 35 people sign up to that in about 5 days. Oh. So that earned me enough money to then pay for my next kind of 2 to 3 months. And then we launched it again, which didn't go as well. And then, then I guess I just sort of got through then I thought I'm just going to do another anthology because I love them. And if I'd rather be working with people on a book than sitting here and like stressing. So yeah, we did another anthology. So for me, it's also just saying, well, that didn't work. Totally cool. What am I going to do now instead? And it's all in the same theme. I mean, it's still all books, but it just means that I'm very tenacious.
Yeah, I love that. And that's such a good point to make, is that, you know, life's always going to throw you hurdles at the end of the day. That is as simple as it is. And we can never get away from that. But being flexible and, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Flexible and resilient in the face of that, and being able to look for a good way to move forward rather than to drown in, you know, the whole, oh my gosh, what's happening kind of thing. You know, I love the fact that you put it out there to yourself, like, you know, what way can I go forward? How can I serve people? I can't serve them the way I normally would right now. So what else can I do? Which is amazing, because that's what people need at the end of the day. When they need help, they need someone who is willing to go that extra mile and figure things out, which is awesome.
Yeah, there've been some really up and down times, you know, over the years. And I'm not in a position where my husband, you know, paid for everything. We always went halves in everything. And so I couldn't have a few months where I just kind of didn't make any money. So for some people, they have that sort of flexibility, and that's amazing. I found it a bit stressful because I didn't have that flexibility. But on the other hand, it forced me to be industrious and to be flexible and resilient. It probably put a bit too much pressure, and I felt my energy. My coach said to me at one point, your energy is really, like, you're really feeling the stress in your energy. And I didn't see that at the time. Looking back, I see that now. But I really had to dig deep in those times, because my husband and I had some really difficult conversations where he said, well, is it time for you to go back and get a job? And I went and contracted a couple of times for just like 3 months, and I worked on my business at night, and I'd get up to say 5 or 6 clients, and then I was able to leave that contract, and I just had to be able to pay the bills. And then I kept working 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning, working at night, working on weekends, got things back on track, and then left. And I haven't been in a contract job for 2 years now. So it was only the beginning and the end of that first year I did some contract work. And so it's just kind of digging deep and going, I just need to think about things differently.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously putting in the work as well, and, you know, sacrificing things that, you know, you would normally do in those times, like maybe sleep, I don't know, with children, you know, with a baby. And putting in those times. And it's hard. And it is hard. And that's why I guess people do they eventually stop, because it does get hard. And when they're not seeing those results and seeing the traction that they want, it's easy to lose sight of the goal, I guess. But I guess you got to have a strong enough desire and, why to get there, which is amazing. It's amazing that you were able to do that.
Yeah, and also, look, the thing that actually really changed things for me, honestly, that first year, I, had a great year. I'd been working with my coach. And then by August, I remember 3 clients signing up in 3 days at the beginning of August, and I was so excited. And then one of them had some massive personal issues and actually ended up cancelling before she sent her payment. And then another one, her payment bounced and she disappeared. And then the other one is the only client I've ever not gelled with, and we parted ways. We decided to part ways. So the 3 clients who signed up ended up not being clients. I did not have one more client from that first week in August until after Christmas. And so you can imagine the stress really started to happen. And that was when my coach had said, look, I'm really feeling the stress. And I said, that's not true. Like, I'm fine. And we were sort of talking what's not working, whatever. And my energy was getting bad. And I really was like falling into a hole, right? Not like depression, but I was like thinking, what am I going to do? This is ridiculous. I'm not making any money. What a mistake. The job I had was down the road. I got paid well. And like, what was I thinking? And I was really spinning. And my husband was freaking out. And then I listened to this podcast by the guy who's actually now my mentor years later. And he was saying, when you put out content, you have to stop. There's 2 things that he taught me. When you put out content, you've got to stop thinking, am I going to get clients? Who's going to respond? What's going to happen? Like, stop focusing on the outcome and think about how grateful you are to know what you know, how blessed you are to be able to share that knowledge, how much you love the thing that you talk about. And I thought, oh my God, it's true. I love books. I love talking about writing. I love helping people with publishing stuff. I know everything about publishing. I'm so lucky. Like, I put in all that work and now I can just share it. And I love it when people say to me, oh my God, I didn't know that, and stuff. So I really changed my mindset and started sharing from a place of love and excitement for the topic. That was one thing. And the second thing he said was, when you're on a sales call with someone, they're not judging you, they're judging their own ability to reach the goal that they want to reach. So with me, it was writing a book. And so I thought, oh, that's true. When I think about it, no one ever, I've had 1 or 2 people in over 3 years ask me, like, how many books did you sell? Or like any like specific type of results stuff. People never ask me that. I've got that information, but in fact, no one asks me. And I thought it's true. So then when I talk to people after that, I heard that podcast, I thought, okay, I'm going to change the way I do calls. I threw out all the scripts that I'd been given by at that time, 2 coaches. And I started saying to people, what goal do you want to achieve when you write the book? And if they'd say, I want to do a TED talk, or I want to do this, I want to do that. If I honestly believed it, I'd say, of course you could do that. You'd be totally awesome at that. No problem. And they'd say, really? I'd say, yeah, all you need to do is blah, 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 blah. And they'd say, oh my God, you're right. It's so simple. And then I'd say, but like, this is what I think. Obviously, see what you think. A book could be part of that. It might not. If you did a book, it would fit in like that. They'd go, great, let's do it. Where do I sign?
See, that's awesome. I love that. I actually really do love that. It is literally not about you and questioning you. And that is so true with all clients at the end of the day. It's whether they're willing, whether they can, whether they're ready to reach the goal that they've set for themselves or they want to set for themselves, which is a phenomenal bit of value there, because that is so true. It really is.
And turning down people that aren't a good fit, as hard as it is, I think that's important as well.
Yeah, no, definitely at the end of the day, because you want to work with people that you do fit with and you do gel with it. Number one, it's your business and you've got to work with this person all the time. If you're not going to get along with them, that's going to make your life not very pleasant. But at the end of the day, it's not really going to serve either of you, which is a great thing as well, to acknowledge and to actually be able to do. But again, like you said, it is hard when you're first starting out and you just, you know, like you want to take everyone because you're like, oh my gosh, maybe the next person's not going to come. What if I don't take this person, you know? And that fear is there. But then I guess it goes back to when you say about, you know, you're putting your content out, you know, and what you're doing, you serve with love. So you're serving. So you can get back to that grateful stage, not worrying about the sales at the end of it. You know, what will come, which is amazing. I love that.
And the funny thing is with the one woman I said we parted ways. My first call with her, I got this red flag. It was like this vibe, and you know, I don't need to go into it, but essentially I got a vibe, and I ignored it because I thought, well, I need the money, right? And she'd also been a referral, which made it tricky because then the person who refers would feel awkward if you turn them down and stuff. And I took her on despite the little voice in the back of my head, and it was extremely stressful. I felt sick every time I got on a call with her because I just, you know, there was just some stuff. And so that was very stressful. So I kind of learned that lesson about not taking people on. And I think, to be honest, I feel like that affected my energy in that sort of period, because it was really hard dealing with her, and I was really out of my depth. And I think it really affected my energy. So in fact, turning it down might have been better. It was still a learning though. So I'm okay with learnings. I've had lots of
learnings are good. Definitely. All righty. So when we're talking about the books that you help people write, so what is it that you help people write? What is it that you well, obviously you love what you specialize in, but obviously there's going to be people come to you with different things. So what have you helped people write? Where have you taken people on that journey?
Yeah, so I only do now non-fiction, like self-help, business sort of style, business topic books and memoir. Now, I actually have helped with novels, or a novel, and I've helped with children's books, 3 particular children's books. I actually love novels, and I plan to write some more. I'm going to write another one at the end of this year. The only reason I don't work with them is because it's like the publishing aspect is different, because self-publishing novels, you're never going to make any money. And it's just a whole different ball game. Children's books, I only take them on if they have a really strong message. So I've done one that's about eating disorders in kids, and one that's a hypnosis book to help kids get to sleep, which is amazing. It totally works on my son and all children. And the other one is like a book written for charity about children. Oh, actually, it just arrived the other day. I know if they're on the podcast, they can't see it, but there's an amazing series of books about kids around the world, and to teach other children about other cultures. It's really beautiful. And I have worked with those, but I generally don't, because children's books are a unique thing in that so I'm just moving my chair around a bit here. It's sort of leaning back a bit too much. Children's books, because they have to be in colour, they're much more, and they've got to pre-print them. They're a much more expensive thing to delve into in the production thing. But otherwise, like self-help, and I love memoir. I absolutely love memoir. I'm just starting to do some ghostwriting as well now. I'm only going to do 2 books a year, and I plan to write Ed Sheeran's autobiography. He doesn't even know he wants to write one yet, but I want to do that. So if anyone knows Ed, Ed, if you're listening, I'm going to write your book. But yeah, I love memoir. I love self-help. So I tend to work with coaches and speakers and entrepreneurs who want to use the book as a tool to sort of grow their profile and grow their business.
Yeah, awesome. So when you're looking at that, so when, say an entrepreneur is watching, or someone who wants to look at writing a book, what would be your advice there? So obviously as a launching pad for more into going into speaking or about the book and whatnot. So, you know, if they want to write about, say, their life or their experiences, you know, obviously getting a coach like yourself is a really valuable tool. But other than that, what would be maybe 2 of your top tips?
The first one is to get really, really clear on why you want to write the book and what you want to write about, because book sales don't make money, right? Let's just put it out there. They're not going to make you money. Therefore, I tend to work with people who have a bit, there's been a couple of exceptions where it's a bucket list item and the person just wants to get it done, right, for their own. But apart from those couple of people, it makes the most sense, I believe, when the book aligns with your business, because you use the book to be seen as an expert in your industry. Because when you're an expert and you stand out, you can charge more, you have more opportunities, you know, you can get into the media, you can get onto podcasts, you can, you know, all these different things that you can do. We create funnels or courses and all of this stuff aligning with your book.
Yeah.
The book raises you above the other people. So if you're a business coach and there's 16,000 other business coaches in the country or whatever, if you have a book, especially if you have a niche, that book positions you above, you know, 15,500 of them. I made up that number, by the way, but I know I know, you know, I'm sort of giving that idea that it's a very saturated market. A book will raise you above those others. And when you have that expert status, that's when you charge more and that sort of thing. So I have a client, for example, who was doing subject matter speaking spots at conferences in the US. She was charging already 12 to 15,000 for one of her speeches. And I have another client who is in Brisbane who was charging 10,000 for subject matter speeches, and which is sort of like a keynote speech, but you don't only do it at the beginning. You can do it anywhere throughout the conference, and you get paid very well. The one in New Jersey came to me and said, well, I want to write a book because all the big boys have a book and you can't charge 20 grand until you've got a book. So she came and wrote the book with me, because then her fee went up to minimum 20 to 25. And that's for one 40-minute presentation or 1 hour at the most, which is not too bad, slightly more than I currently earn. Jokes. So, you know, it's a really, really great way of you leverage the book to make money in other areas. She gets 5 gigs a month when conferences are on. So,
wow.
So, you know, it can be a pretty good game. Probably not every month, but like, you know what I mean? She sometimes has 5 a month. So definitely there's opportunity there. So if you're very clear on what you want to write the book for, you can plan out an amazing career. But the topic and the audience is really important, because whatever you write about, you're attracting those people into your world for probably the next year or 2 at a minimum, because you're going to make the most of that book. You'll need to keep talking and talking and talking about that topic for the next kind of couple of years. So you need to make sure that whatever you write about, you're very clear that you want to be working on and talking about. You could do a stretch topic. So instead of, if you've already been doing something for years, you might be getting a little bit over it and you're thinking to yourself, I've been doing that for the last few years, but I want to do this thing. You can actually start writing about that other thing and grow your knowledge as you're writing the book. And it's like a stretch topic that you're moving into. So yeah, getting very clear on all of that and thinking about your whole career before you commit pen to paper.
Oh my gosh, I would never have thought that. That is such great value, because you're right. At the end of the day, you write a book and you release it and you get it published, and then you're literally going to talk about it. So you really have to be focused on and really certain that you actually want to talk about that or actually have those people in your life.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I don't tend to anymore work with people who have been in their business less than 1 or 2 years. That just didn't feel like the right word, less than. I'm getting tired. So the reason being is because in the beginning of your business, you know, you often sort of slightly tweak and change what you're doing, because you learn, okay, well, that probably doesn't quite work. I want to do this. Or you have a few clients that change your mind. I had a client who was great. Her story was great. But 6 months, she was in a 4-month program. So about 3.5 months in, she was almost finished her book. And she said to me, I hate my clients. I hate them. They're lazy. They don't listen to me. They're not taking action. I've chosen the wrong niche. She'd chosen quite a specific self-help niche, which was a bit challenging. And she said, I can't stand it. And And it was driving her crazy. So she was losing the love for her business, but she'd only been in her business for about the same time she'd been writing the book, like a few months longer. I think she'd been in a business 6 months or something. And she realized she didn't want to be in that niche anymore. And therefore, the book became completely irrelevant and she never finished it. So, like having a couple of years of experience where you go, okay, I know what I'm doing now, this is where I'm going, this is where I've been, that it helps to have that little bit of experience under your belt.
Yeah, definitely. I'd hate to spend all that time on a book, and even if it is just 3.5 months, that's a lot of time, just to decide, you know what, I don't even like these people.
Yeah, it was pretty devastating, because actually, in fact, her book was great.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that would have been I guess it's a lesson, but right. So it was a lesson for her, and definitely, and I guess a lesson for you as well, to when you would take clients in yourself, moving forward.
Definitely a lesson for me.
Yeah.
I've often told people, come back to me in a year.
Yeah.
If you still want to do it.
Yeah. Oh, that is awesome. I love that value you just dropped before. It's awesome. Oh, so other than that, so I know that you've written a few books, so tell us a little bit about your books. I'd love to hear about those.
Well, apart from my novel, my most recent book is called Write, and it's just about, writing a book for a nonfiction book to grow your business. And that's really good because I guess it's one of those things that it's like a plumber with leaky pipes. I've been helping everyone with their book and kept putting my own book off for ages. And then I had the first draft sitting there for 6 months mocking me because I hadn't progressed it. And I finally finished that one just before Christmas. And it's just really helpful. It's that sort of foundational piece of helping people get clear on the stuff we're talking about, why you're writing, who you're writing for, and all of those things. Because that's the bit where people tend to get stuck, is they don't even start their book. So I want to help people get really clear on the beginning bit. So yeah, it's all about setting up the foundation, all the good writing habits, and what people tend to get stuck because the mistakes people make and what to do instead, as well as all the info about how to write and edit and then publish a book to get it online. So that's my most recent book. And yeah, and then that sort of, there's a masterclass that goes with that and a few other things. But I'm supposed to be working on the second book in that series about the publishing side of things and going into that a little bit more. But I'm also working on another novel this year, which is more of a fun project because I know that it's hard to make money from novels. And it's actually inspired by my grandparents' meeting in Malta before World War II. So yeah, I want to write a really epic historical romance.
Oh, wow, that will be amazing. That'll be amazing. I guess with your going just back quickly to your book, right? So obviously for someone who's watching, if they want to sort of get a gist of what needs to happen, this would be a great place for them to start. And, if they wanted to get that a little bit more, one-on-one or even in a group setting, you've got your course. So that they could look at that. And then obviously if they wanted to work one-on-one with you have that available as well.
Well, yeah, and I'm actually winding that down because we have a new program which is absolutely like blowing my mind at the moment. It's a 12-month program because every time my business has changed over the last 3 years, it's been because I've noticed a gap in what I'm doing. Like, that's been going well. I feel like this falling down here. This is going well. I feel like it's falling down here. So 3 years ago, I helped people write to their first draft. I'm sorry, this chair is so squeaky.
You're right.
I really need a new one. It's like every time I move, it's like, I just help people get to first draft. Then I've got a team of 15 people now who do editing, design, the book cover, uploading, all the technical stuff. And now the thing I realized was missing was people were finishing their beautiful books with me, but a lot of them weren't really leveraging it to go to that next level. So our new program, which is 12 months, Thought Leaders Academy, it actually, you spend 6 months on your book and the other 6 months We've got experts coming in from all over the world in speaking, podcasting, media, funnels, courses, raising your profile, who are actually going to be coming in and coaching and training the authors to teach them how to do all of that stuff. And all the people in the program will be 6 and 7 figure business owners. So the mastermind value is going to be amazing because it's only little groups of 8 going through together. And then the coaches who are coming in and all the experts, they are all uber successful, people who do 6 figures, multiple 6 figures a month. So mostly, so that will be absolutely fantastic. That's what we're working on at the moment. So within the next couple of months of the time of recording, I won't be doing any one-on-one coaching anymore because we'll just be doing this program. But I do have coaches on the team who will still be able to work with people.
Wow, that sounds phenomenal. That sounds like you've really stepped it up a notch moving forward. So you've gone from just helping people get their book to where it needed to be, like finished.
Yep.
And the next level is getting them to leverage it the way that they can to boost themselves and boost their business. And that's the whole, as you explained before, what you do a book for.
Exactly.
So that's amazing.
I was giving people the advice and information and but I realized that once I wasn't holding their hand anymore, that most of them weren't really taking it to that level. And not all of them wanted to take it to that level. But to be honest, most of my clients do want to be on international stages and speaking and changing lives and impacting people. And you can't really impact people unless lots of people are seeing and hearing you. I've got a couple of clients who do it really well. And in fact, one of my clients went from having just making a 6-figure year before her book came out, like just sneaking into the 100 bracket. And now a year after her book's come out, she has 6-figure months every month. So she's actually going to be one of the experts as well, teaching people about what she did and how to use the book to raise your profile, but also how to raise your profile before your book comes out, because you've really got to work on it. Be telling people about the book, the whole journey. So it's going to be absolutely amazing. There are some pretty fantastic people in there. We have 5 speaking experts coming in, including an agent, to talk to people about how to create a speaking career and the different types of speaking careers, what you get paid for, what you don't, how to approach, how to get speaking gigs, a whole lot. That's just for speaking. Then we've got experts on media and podcasts, and some really great people coming in from the States for that. And it's going to be fantastic.
Sounds phenomenal. It really does. It sounds like you've really just, taken it next level, and you've really thought out like the process, which obviously that's what you want to do when you're looking at helping and serving people. I'm blown away actually, because it really, you're right. Like you can take once you leave someone's hand at the end of what your course is, unfortunately, a lot of people won't move forward with it because they do want that little bit of help to get there. And so providing that extra 6 months to do, just that, and bring in people, not just yourself, so experts from different fields, to be able to give them that information, arm them with what they need, give them the tools that they need to go forward with, to really utilize the book that you've helped them to get to the point where they can write and create it. Is phenomenal. Like that's really just going to blow some massive people up massively, which is really awesome.
Yeah, I really want, there's one expert I'm talking to tomorrow to secure, I'm hoping to secure his time tomorrow. I mean, we've got a chat tomorrow. I want to secure his part in the course as faculty, but he's helped 76 people get TED Talks and TEDx Talks. So he's my one missing piece of the puzzle at the moment. I just want to see when my clients finish their books, I'm always so proud and so excited and so emotional, but I really want to see people go to that next level. Like, there are big conferences that travel around the world, with a number of speakers all day. I want to see my clients at those things, and up on that stage, and people in the audience really being impacted. And that's what I want, for my clients. And then for the people that they served, that's, to connect with them in that way. So I can't wait.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be phenomenal. I love that word. That's my word, phenomenal. I love it's just, when I'm blown away by something that is my word. And I'm really blown away by, just the layout of the course. I mean, look, at the end of the day, when you do a 12-month course, you need to have a really specific layout, but you've really thought about like the first half, which is what you do anyway.
Yes.
But you seen the piece that was missing, as you said, and you'd be really stepping it up and, you know, making sure that the value is there for your clients, which is awesome. Alrighty, so I don't really have any other questions at this point, and it is getting a little bit late, I know, for yourself as well. So if anyone wants to jump in and chat to you at any point, I'll drop your Facebook link into the comments, and on YouTube I'll drop in the comments there, and on podcast.
Sure.
I've worked that out. I don't know how to do that one yet. I've put in there somewhere. And other than that, is there any other way that they can contact you, where they can get your book, if they wanted to start with your book to get?
I can give you a link to the book as well, the book that's called Write, as in WRITE. I'll chuck you that link as well. And that's a really great way for people to it's only $7, so it's like Australian dollars, so it's probably what, $5 US. It's just a really great way for people to be able to get all of that information to get them started. And they might read it and say, actually, I don't want to write a book, or they might read it and go, yes, I'm ready. So either way, I think it's a good investment if a book's been on your mind, because people come to me who have said, I've thought about writing a book for the last 10 years and they just don't get around to it and don't get around to it and don't get around to it. And I actually ran a program. I was doing workshops a couple of years ago, and I'm always very honest about the publishing landscape and how it works and all of that. And there was actually a woman in attendance who she was unemployed, long-term unemployed. She thought if she wrote a book, she would make millions of dollars and, you know, live off this money forever. And she had this great idea for a book. When she found out the truth, and she'd been wanting to do it for years, right? And her and her husband came along and they were so excited. When she found out the truth, she started crying in the workshop. And I said, like, what's wrong? And she basically said, like, I'm going to paraphrase, but she basically said, you killed my dream, right? Now, I'm not here to kill anyone's dream, but I do say it how it is. And I say you can leverage the book to achieve all these things. If you don't have a business, you are making it really hard for yourself. But I said to her, I'm really sorry, like, you know, that you feel upset, that you feel like I've kind of destroyed this dream of yours. But I think clarity is a gift, because she'd been talking to her husband for something like 15 years about writing this book. And I think he thought, right, let's go to a workshop and actually get it done. And when she got there and she realized, 15 years, she was never going to write it anyway, right? So I said to her, I feel this is clarity. Now you can go serve people in another way. You know, you can go she wanted to help people with disabilities or something. I can't quite remember. But I said, now you can go and serve in another way. You know that writing a book is not going to give you the outcome you wanted. And so therefore, now you can decide what to do instead, and you can take the weight, because there's a lot of pressure on you when you're telling yourself you want to do something and you don't take action, right? You feel disappointed with yourself. So if you make the decision, whether it's yes or whether it's no, decision made. And I feel like clarity is good.
Yeah, definitely. I think if they start with the book, and then, you know, if they want to move forward, then it's a good place. But if it's giving them the information that they need, then definitely I agree. Clarity is really important. As you said, you really need to know where you want to go, what you want to do, who you want to serve, or who you want to write to, or write for. And at the end of the day, without clarity and without knowing all the information, she could have literally spent another 15 years writing this book.
And then at the end, realised that no one was going to publish it, that it's going to cost her thousands to edit, and editing does cost thousands. And which is fine if you make $5,000 from your first speaking gig. I've had clients who charge $5,000 for their very first speaking gig.
Wow.
That's awesome. It is possible, you know, but you just have to have a plan.
Yeah. Definitely. And you have to have your eyes wide open at the end of the day.
Totally.
And yeah, I do agree. Clarity and transparency about situations and the process is really important. So while she might have felt at that time that you killed her dream, I'm not laughing at her, but I can probably just imagine how upset she was. But realistically, you probably gave her the best gift. Because at the end of the day, like you said, she had this weight on her, and she was talking about, and she had this unrealistic expectation of what was going to happen if she did that. And you gave her the realistic expectation.
And I actually signed up clients at that workshop too. And one of the guys just said to me the other week, he brought this up, and I'd kind of forgotten about it actually. And that's why I've remembered now, because he reminded me of it. And he said, that woman is half the reason I signed up with you. He said, because you were so honest with everyone at that workshop that I knew that you would never BS me. And I knew that what you told me was going to be the truth. And therefore, I trusted you to write my book with. He said, I knew I wanted to write a book, but you solidified it because you said, you won't make money this way, but you can make money this way. You just have to be prepared to do this, this, and this. And he said, I was prepared to do all that stuff, and I wanted to run courses and have clients. So I knew that if you said if you were okay with upsetting her kind of thing. I'm not okay with upsetting people, but he said, if you're okay kind of with that, then I knew that you were going to tell me the truth when I went in my direction as well. So
yeah, and I guess that is when it comes down, you attract your ideal clients, right, with who you are and your persona and how you present yourself. And at the end of the day, that's your ideal client. You want someone that can actually you take the feedback and, you know, hear the truth and understand it without, you know, and know the steps that they need to take if they want to move forward, which is awesome at the end of the day. And it is really good that he actually gave you that feedback, and even if it was just a little while ago, at the end of the day, because it just, I guess, really cements for you at the end of the day that it is the right thing to do, because it does show who you are as a person and as a coach, and that's really important, and you want to attract those kind of clients at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, actually it's funny because when his book was finished and he had the first developmental edit done, well, actually when the book was finished, and I said, mate, he wanted it to be a bestseller and had already gone and recorded a podcast in LA, and like everything was happening. And I said, mate, we're not publishing this book. It is like not publishable. It needs some work. And he got the developmental edit done, and I had to talk him off a cliff for an hour because there was a lot of feedback. And because even with coaching, some people still have, there's a long way to go for some people, depending on their quality of writing, when they come in. Even with feedback every week, some people get really much better really quickly, and some people really take a while, or they don't improve a huge amount. Everyone's different. And I said, you can't publish this book. And he was also telling me the other week in this conversation, I think he was interviewing me for his mastermind or something, and he said he was really grateful for that as well, because I wasn't going to he was so desperate for this book to get out in the world. And I said, you are not putting that out in the world, because you can't take it back, and it's not going to have the impact that you think it's going to. So you need to keep working on it. So yeah, I think it's really important that people have that feedback.
Definitely. And I think it's really awesome that, he was, as much as you probably didn't like to hear it at the time, recognized it after. So, understood, afterwards, because I guess no one really wants to hear, mate, you're not going to do that, because it's not going to work. It's not going to give you the desired effect. It's going to give you the opposite. So, we got to work on it. And you'll be, probably wounded his feelings a little bit at the time, but at the end of the day, as he acknowledged, it was the best thing that you did for him, and that's what he was super happy about. So that's awesome. I love it.
Absolutely. Anyway, I won't tell you more stories. Thank you again for having me. I will shoot you those links, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. And thank you for joining me. I really do appreciate it. And I will pop all the links up that you give me, and we will, if you can help someone and they reach out to you, that would be amazing. Absolutely. And good luck with everything. I look forward to watching the next journey for you. I think it's going to be epic.
Thank you so much.
All right.